Hello, viewer. You don't know me, but I know you. I want to play a game. So far in what you could loosely call your life, you have spent the majority of your time on YouTube watching endless cat videos and meme compilations. All the while, content creators work night and day to produce quality content, only for you to scroll past to the next vine like it didn't even exist. This ends today. Before you click off of this video, you might want to take into consideration the game you now find yourself playing. What you have yet to realize is that while you were sound asleep, a microchip was planted into your brain. Clicking the wrong button at this point could be costly, so I would pay very close attention to what I'm about to say next. You now have the opportunity to make things right. In front of you, you will find an assortment of buttons, tools, if you will. A like, dislike, share, and a subscribe button. 3 of these buttons will guarantee your freedom. However, one of these buttons will activate the chip planted in your brain. These buttons could liberate you from this hell, or be the instruments to your own demise. Will you walk out of here with your mind intact and a newfound perspective for content creators, or will you be staying for the fireworks? I would make your decision swiftly. The clock is ticking. Live or die, you decide. Let the games begin.
Alright guys, hopefully you enjoyed that little intro. That was from JK Tiger, a fellow YouTuber that I got in contact and asked him if I can use this as an intro for this painting. I'll leave a description down below to his channel so you guys can go give him some love. Thank you again for letting me use your sound of your imitation. Without further ado guys, I'm just going to get straight to the point. I really didn't find that much stuff that we didn't know, facts about the Saw movies. So basically I'm just going to read internet stories while the painting is going on. So hopefully you guys enjoy, and let's go. Number 1, the statue. A few years ago, a mother and father decided they needed a break, so they wanted to head out for a night on the town. They called their most trusted babysitter. When the babysitter arrived, the 2 children were already fast asleep in their bed. So the babysitter just got to sit around and make sure everything was okay with the children. Later that night, the babysitter got bored and went to watch TV, but she couldn't watch TV downstairs because they did not have cable in the downstairs. The parents didn't want their children to watch much garbage. So she called them and asked if she could watch cable in the parents' room. Of course, the parents said it was okay, but the babysitter had one final request. She asked if she could cover up the angel statue outside the bedroom window with a blanket or a cloth because it made her nervous. The phone line went silent for a few moments, and the father, who was talking to the babysitter at the time, said, "Take the children and get out of the house. We'll call the police. We don't own an angel statue." The police found both the children and babysitter slumped in pools of their own blood within 3 minutes of the call. No statue was ever found. Number 2, a mother's call. A young girl is playing in her bedroom when she hears her mother call her from the kitchen, so she runs down the stairs to meet her mother. As she's running through the hallway, the door to the cupboard under the stairs opens and a hand reaches out and pushes her in. It's her mother. She whispers to her child, "Don't go into the kitchen. I heard it too." Number 3, finger counting. My daughter woke up around 11:50 last night. My wife and I had picked her up from her friend Sally's house, brought her home, and put her to bed. My wife went into the bedroom to read while I fell asleep watching the Braves game. "Daddy," she whispered, tugging at my sleeve, "guess how old I'm going to be next month?" "I don't know, Beauty," I said. I slipped on my glasses. "How old?" She smiled and held up 4 fingers. "It's 7:30 now. My wife and I have been up with her for almost 8 hours. She still refuses to tell us where she got them from." Number 4, this new old house. We bought an old house, my boyfriend and I. He's in charge of the new construction, converting the kitchen into the master bedroom. For instance, while I'm on wallpaper removal duty, the previous owner papered everything, walls and ceiling. Removing it is brutal, but oddly satisfying. The best feeling is getting a long peel, similar to skin when you're peeling off sunburn. I don't know about you, but I kinda make a game of peeling, on the hunt for the longest piece before it rips. Under a corner section of paper, in every room is a person's name and a date. Curiosity got the best of me one night when I googled one of the names and discovered the person was actually a missing person. The missing date matches the date under the wallpaper. The next day, I made a list of all the names and dates. Sure enough, each name was a missing person, with dates to match. We notified the police, who naturally sent out a crime scene team. I overheard one text say, "Yup, it's human." Human? What's human? Ma'am, where's the material you removed from the walls already? This isn't wallpaper you're removing. Number 5, when Charlie goes away. I hate it when my brother Charlie has to go away. My parents constantly try to explain to me how sick he is, that I'm lucky for having a brain where all the chemicals flow properly to their destinations, like undammed rivers. When I complain about how bored I am without a little brother to play with. They try to make me feel bad by pointing out that his boredom is likely far surpassed mine, considering he's confined to a dark room in an institution. I always beg for them to give me one more chance. Of course, they did at first. Charlie has been back home several times, each shorter in duration than the last. Every time without fail, it all starts again. The neighborhood cats with gouged out eyes show up in his toy chest. My dad's razors found dropped on the baby side of the park across the street. Mom's vitamins replaced with bits of dishwasher tablets. My parents are hesitant now, using last chances. Sparingly, they say his disorder makes him charming, makes it easy for him to fake normalcy, and to trick the doctors who care for him into thinking he's ready for rehabilitation. That I will just have to put up with my boredom if it means staying safe from him. I hate it when Charlie has to go away. It makes me have to pretend to be good until he comes back, or they'll know it's me. I don't know why I looked up. When I did, I saw him there. He stood against the window. His forehead rested against the glass, and his eyes were still and light, and he smiled a lipstick-red, cartoonish grin. He just stood there in the window. My wife was upstairs sleeping. My son was in his crib. I couldn't move. I was frozen watching him look past me through the glass. Oh, please no. His smile never moved. But he put his hand up and slid it down the glass, watching me. His matted hair and yellow skin, a face through the window. I couldn't do anything. I just stayed there frozen, feet still in bushes. I was gardening. Looking into my home, he stood against my window. Number 7, white with red. A man went to a hotel and walked up to the front desk to check in. The woman at the desk gave him a key and told him that on the way to his room there was a door with no number that was locked, and no one was allowed in there. She explained that it's a storage room, and it was out of bounds. She reminded him several times before allowing him to go upstairs, so he followed the instructions of the woman at the front desk, going straight to his room and going to bed. However, the insistence of the woman had piqued his curiosity, so the next night he walked down the hall to the door and tried the handle. Sure enough, it was locked. He bent down to look through the keyhole. Cold air passed through and chilling his eye. What he saw was a hotel room, just like his own. In the corner was a woman whose skin was white and pale. She was leaning her head against the wall, facing away from the door. He stared in confusion for a while. Was this a celebrity? The owner's daughter? He almost knocked on the door out of curiosity, but decided not to. As he was still looking, the woman turned sharply, and he jumped back from the door, hoping she would not suspect that he was been spying on her. He crept away from the door and walked back to his room. The next day, he turned to the door and looked through the keyhole. This time, all he saw was redness. He couldn't make anything out besides a distinct red color. Perhaps the inhabitants of the room knew he was spying the night before and had blocked the keyhole with something red. He felt embarrassed that he had made the woman so uncomfortable. He hoped she had not made a complaint to the woman in the front desk. At this point, he decided to consult her for information. She sighed and said, "Did you look through the keyhole?" The man told her that he had, and she said, "Well, I might as well tell you the story of what happened in that room. A long time ago, a man murdered his wife in there. And we find that even now, whoever stays there gets very uncomfortable. But those people were not ordinary. They were white all over, except for their eyes, which were red." The woman in the oven. During the summer of 1983, in a quiet town near Minneapolis, Minnesota, the charred body of a woman was found inside the kitchen stove of a small farmhouse. A video camera was also found in the kitchen, standing on a tripod, pointing at the oven. No tape was found inside the camera at that time, although the scene was ordinarily labeled as a homicide by police. An unmarked VHS tape was later discovered in the bottom of the farmhouse, which had apparently dried up earlier that year. Despite its worn condition and the fact that it contained no audio, police were still able to review the contents of the tape. It depicted a woman recording herself in front of a video camera, seemingly using the same camera that the police found in the kitchen. After positioning the camera to include both her and the kitchen stove in its view, she turned on the oven, opened the door, crawled inside, and then closed the door behind her. After 8 minutes into the video, the oven could be seen shaking violently. At this point, thick black smoke emerged from it. For the remaining 45 minutes of the video, until the battery of the camera died, it remained in its stationary position. To avoid disturbing the local community, the police never released any information about the tape, or even the fact that it was found. Police were also not able to determine who put the tape, or why the height and structure of the woman in this video did not come close to matching the body that they had found in the oven. Expressionless. In June 1972, a woman appeared in the Cedar Hospital in nothing but a white, blood-covered gown. Now this in itself should not be too surprising, as people often have accidents nearby and come to the nearest hospital for medical attention. But there was two things that caused people who saw her to vomit or flee in terror. The first being that she wasn't exactly human. She resembled something close to a mannequin, but had the dexterity and fluidity of a normal human being. Her face was as flawless as a mannequin's, devoid of eyebrows and smeared in makeup. There was a kitten clamped to her jaws, so unnaturally tight that no teeth could be seen, and the blood was still squirting all over her gown onto the floor. She then pulled it out of her own mouth, tossed it aside, and collapsed. From the moment she stepped through the entrance to when she was taken to the hospital room and cleaned before being prepped for sedation, she was completely calm, expressionless, and motionless. The doctors thought it best to restrain her until the authorities could arrive, and she did not protest. They were unable to get any kind of response from her, and most staff members felt uncomfortable to look directly at her for more than a few seconds. But the second the staff tried to sedate her, she fought back with extreme force. 2 members of the staff had to hold her down as her body rose up from the bed with the same blank expression. She turned her emotionless eyes towards the doctor and did nothing unusual. She smiled. As she did, the female doctor screamed and let go out of shock. In the woman's mouth were not human teeth, but long, sharp spikes, too long for her mouth to close fully without causing damage. The male doctor stared back at her for a moment before asking, "What are you?" She cracked her neck down to her shoulder to observe him, still smiling. There was a long pause. The security had been alerted and could be heard coming down the hallway. As he heard them approaching, she darted forward, striking her teeth into the front of his throat, ripping out his jugular and letting him fall to the floor, gasping for air as he choked on his own blood. She stood up and leaned over him, her face coming dangerously close to his as the life faded from his eyes. She leaned closer and whispered in his ear, "I am God." The doctor's eyes filled with fear as he watched her calmly walk away to greet the security man. His last ever sight would be watching her feast on them one by one. The female doctor who survived the incident named her the Expressionless. There has never been a sighting of her again. Alright guys, that's all the time we have for today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the painting. I'm sorry that I'm still trying to work my technique in painting, so it's not that great, but let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Also, let me know which one was your favorite story in the comments down below. Also, a big thank you to JK Tiger for letting me use the intro. Thank you. That is a spot on jigsaw impression. Thank you again. And there's a link down in the description below to get to his channel. Go show him some love. Go subscribe to his channel. He's really good. And that's basically it for today, guys. My handle is RemyGTV for everything: Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, everything. That's pretty much it, guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video and the stories. Subscribe if you haven't already. Turn on that bell notifications. Go subscribe to JK Tiger. Alright, guys. Sweet dreams.